Well, I've known the Schilling family and Fred Sr. since 1979, and in 1981, I was the first salesperson to come to Interstate Fleets. So I've known the family for I guess that's about 35 years now. Back in those days, we were developing new customers. Being the first new salesperson, there wasn't a manual on what to do and how to do it, so we were kind of inventing the wheel back then and trying to bring on new customers. So we would contact potential companies, talk to them about the different services we could offer, and hopefully have them give us a try. I remember back in those days, Fred said, "Kenny, if they'll just give us a try and you can get them to see how we perform, they're going to be a customer." And the funny thing is, today, 30 years later, it's pretty much the same thing. When the customers we have, once they see how we perform, that seems to be the glue that gets them to become a customer, and probably more importantly, keeps them a customer. I look back 30 years ago when we had developed a couple customers. When I came back to Interstate 10 years ago, they were still customers, and many of them are still customers today. So it was quite impressive to see customers you had developed 20 and 30 years ago still doing business with Interstate Fleets. That was quite impressive. Fred Sr. has had quite an impact on my sales and my sales career. Many of the things he taught me back in the early 80s, I believed in and still use today, because I can remember sometimes when we would have a car that would need to be repaired and it just didn't make sense to take it to the dealer, we would do it at our own expense. He would basically reach into his own pocket to fix the vehicle and not charge the customer just because it was the right thing to do. It would get the vehicle back to the customer, it made more sense for the company, and it gave the customer the service that they were looking for, or the kind of service, the level of service that we were trying to give to the customers. Back then, in our sales efforts, Fred was famous for saying, "Kenny, just do something, even if it's wrong." And he would say that over and over again, and again, still remember it to this day. But probably one of the most impressive things, or one of the most impactful things, was the level of service. That whatever the customer needed, we were to do it, get it done, and just make it so easy for the customer to be a customer of ours because of that level of service.